What is up, bros and broettes? I am Inkslasher, and welcome to another episode of Versus. Today, we're comparing two of the weapons that are most prevalent in competitive Call of Duty now. These two weapons are both assault rifles, and they are both extremely fast firing for an assault rifle. Today we got the KBAR-32 or the KBAR versus the OSA or OSA, whatever you want to call it. Now both of these are two of the most prevalent weapons in MLG or competitive Call of Duty at this moment. Now I have a feeling that throughout Infinite Warfare this will change a little bit just because the gun balance is a little bit different in this game. The time to kills are actually a little bit longer, especially compared to Black Ops 3, so it'll be interesting to see how this changes from now to the end of competitive Call of Duty before the next Call of Duty game comes out. But as of right now, these are the two most prevalent weapons, and I want to see how they are compared and see which one is better. And also by doing so, this should in turn make you a better Call of Duty player. So first things first, these weapons are incredibly similar, and that's why you see players switch through them so frequently when playing Infinite Warfare competitively. Now the big difference between these two weapons is that one of them is just your regular old assault rifle, whereas the OSA is actually a classic weapon, and I believe you unlock this level when you hit level 55 in your very first prestige. You don't technically have to prestige, but I believe that's how I unlocked it. I hit level 55 and that's when I received the weapon. Now, let's get into it and start looking at the stats for these weapons, and as always, we'll start off with the damage profiles for both weapons. So as it turns out, both of these weapons deal the exact same damage. 30 damage up close, 23 at mid-range, and 19 at long range. What this means is that both of these weapons range from a 4 to a 6 bullet kill. Now with this, it would kind of depend on where the ranges fall, which makes the damage profile better. However, again, when we look at the ranges, these weapons are again incredibly similar. For the KBAR, it drops off from 30 to 23 damage at 22 meters. When we look at the OSA or OSA, it drops off at 25 meters. When we look at the KBAR dropping off from 23 to 19 damage, it drops off at 38 meters, whereas the OSA drops off at 33 meters. So each of them have one case scenario where they're a little bit better. For example, the OSA has a little bit better of a 4 bullet kill range. However, the KBAR has a little bit better of a 5 bullet kill range. There's really no way we can give out any points based on any of this. They both have the same damage profile and their ranges are almost identical, swapping between a 4 to a 5 bullet to kill respectively. So it's really hard to say which one has a better range considering they're so goddamn similar and their damage profiles are exactly the same. So this is where fire rate comes in. So the KBAR's fire rate is 713 RPM, which is actually pretty damn good for an assault rifle, especially in this game. Whereas when we look at the OSA or OSA, its fire rate is 857 RPM, which is almost 150 more than the KBAR. That's a really damn big deal. That's a big difference between the two weapons. So for that, the OSA is going to get +1 point and get the first point of this episode of Versus and take the lead. So knowing this is incredibly important because what this means is that at every single range in the game, the OSA has a better time to kill because it has the exact same damage profile, because the range is almost identical, and because it has a 150 RPM faster fire rate. This means that at every single range in the game, the OSA is going to have a faster time to kill. That is an incredibly big deal. So for that, the OSA is once again going to get +1 point and extends its lead a little bit more. So this is where things get really interesting because when you look at the smaller stats, this is where these weapons are almost identical. Both of these weapons have a 36 round magazine. Both of them have a 0.25 second aim down sights time. Their reload speed is almost identical. There is a little bit of variation between the two. It's by about 0.07 seconds, but that being said, one of them reloads faster with an empty magazine and one of them reloads faster with bullets still in the magazine, so there's no reason to give out any points for that. These weapons are incredibly similar except for one other stat. That one other stat is the recoil. This is where these two weapons have an extremely big difference. The OSA has a very large amount of recoil. It's not insanely noticeable at short or mid-range. However, if you try to shoot someone at long range, you'll notice how much recoil this weapon really does have. And when there is an enemy at long range, you really do have to feather that trigger and use it almost like a burst fire weapon, whereas the KBAR has next to no recoil whatsoever. And if even someone is completely across the map on the absolute other side of the map, you can actually just hold that trigger down and just aim right at that person's head, because this weapon has so little recoil, especially compared to the OSA, which has a pretty high amount of recoil. So normally I actually don't give out points based on recoil, because it comes down to personal preference and which recoil pattern you prefer. However, there's such a drastic difference between these two weapons, the KBAR being super accurate and the OSA having a high amount of recoil, that I have to give out a point to the KBAR for this one, and it makes the score 2-1. However, the problem with this is there's no other stats to give out. This is it. This is the only differences between the two weapons. It's the fire rate and the time to kill for the OSA, and the less recoil for the KBAR. So the most basic way to look at this is that the OSA is a better version of the KBAR, time to kill wise and rate of fire wise. However, it has a lot more recoil. So a better player that's more able to control recoil will do better with the OSA 100% of the time. However, if you have trouble dealing with recoil and maybe your aim isn't quite as good, the KBAR is going to be better for you. Or if you're going to get in longer range gunfights, because you'll be able to just, once again, hold down that trigger and not have to worry about the recoil pattern whatsoever. So that's the major differences between the two. One has a better time to kill, one has less recoil. That is it. That is the differences between the two weapons. So very clearly, by looking at the scores, you can see that the OSA is the better weapon and takes the win this time. And if you haven't tried out that weapon, it's a goddamn beast. I really recommend trying it out. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about in this video is why these two weapons are so predominantly used in competitive play. And in fact, there is weapons in both the SMG and assault rifle classes that have better time to kills than both of these weapons. So why are these two weapons used so commonly? Well, first of all, these two weapons have the best time to kills at mid-range. In the mid-range category, these two weapons are what reign supreme. And because of that, in competitive Call of Duty, most of the gunfights people get into are mid-range. However, the Volk or the NV4, which are both other assault rifles, have better time to kills at short range and extreme long ranges. So it's because so many of the gunfights in this game take place at mid-range why these weapons do so well in the competitive game mode. Now, on top of that, there is another reason. Both of these weapons are fast-firing assault rifles, which means follow-up bullets come quicker than weapons like the NV4 or the Volk. So even if you miss one bullet, there's going to be more bullets being followed up after those bullets you missed. Whereas a weapon like the Volk with an incredibly slow fire rate, even though it has an amazing time to kill, if you miss one bullet, that time to kill drops slower and slower very quickly by every bullet you miss. Whereas with the OSA and the KBAR, it is not like that whatsoever. You have bullets following up very quickly after every single bullet you miss. Those are the main differences why people use these particular weapons in competitive play. Just in case you were wondering, that is basically why. But guys, that is it. That is all we got to talk about today. The winner this week is the OSA, and it is a very good weapon. I really strongly recommend using this thing once you hit level 55. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you found it informative and like what you saw, it would be fantastic if you could leave a like rating. It really does help out the channel, and I really do appreciate it because it lets me know that you enjoyed the video. Also, if you're new to the channel and like what you see here, you can hit that subscribe button down below. I upload new Call of Duty videos every single day of the week, and if that sounds interesting to you, that subscribe button is sitting there with your name on it. But you can check out my Twitch, Twitter, and Let's Play channel, also my Instagram down in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, peace out.